Hello, thank you for joining us on CoreTV News at 4. I am Frank Omalape, and here are some of the reports we're filing now. The Senate has confirmed the nomination of former Minister of State for Defense Musiliu Obanikoro for ministerial appointment. Obanikoro's confirmation as minister came at a plenary sitting amidst a stage worked out by APC senators in the opposition, where majority members of the Senate asked him to take a bow, being a former senator. He announced his nomination via his official Twitter account, saying he has no hard feelings against APC senators who oppose his nomination. The Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) says 80.61% of registered voters have picked their permanent voters' cards across the country as at Monday, March 9. Figures released by the INEC spokesman, Kaude Dowu in Abuja, show that 55,490,031 eligible voters have collected their PVCs. The Commission also confirmed that it has delivered all 68 million cards nationwide. A close look at the statistic indicates that Zamfara State has recorded a 95.97% rate of PVC collection, followed by Jigawa with 95.91% and Gombe with 95.50%. The figure from Lagos State shows that 64.6% of voters have collected their cards, while the FCT at 64.17%. The only state with less than a 50% PVC collection is Ogun State, where only 47.53% of the cards have been collected by eligible voters. And now the Independent National Electoral Commission has rated itself high in the field of smart card tests run readers in 12 states, and specifically said it fully achieved its objective of verifying permanent voter cards presented by voters at the polling units where the mock trials were conducted. It also said in a statement issued by its Chief Press Secretary to the INEC Chairman, Kaude Dowu, that 59% of voters who turned up had their fingerprints successfully authenticated. INEC, however, noted that it will be investigating the cause of the failure of the card readers to verify PVCs, especially in Ebonyi State. It has also decided to repeat the exercise in 2 registration areas in the state on March 14. The Akwa Ibom State Governor and Chairman PDP Governor Forum has debunked rumors making the rounds that the People's Democratic Party is afraid of the electronic card readers being used in the general elections. Akwa Ibom State emphatically that his party is not afraid of the use of the electronic cards during the polls, but rather seeks that no Nigerian is disenfranchised based on the shortcomings of the card readers.
The continued quest of the PDP-led federal government for free, fair, and credible elections has not been in doubt, as witnessed in its robust support through adequate and sustained funding, and indeed the free hand given to INEC to operate. But surprisingly, in our opinion, INEC appears ill-prepared for the 2015 elections. For example, at the time the polls were shifted due to security concerns, over 23 million registered voters were yet to collect their PVCs. And if you know there are countries with just 3 million population, 23 million will amount to disenfranchising more than 5 West African countries in their own election. It will be recalled also that even the INEC chairman himself admitted on the floor of the Senate that over 1 million permanent voters' cards are yet to be printed in faraway China. According to the INEC chairman, the postponement was a blessing in disguise of PVC, even when the person has a TVC, owing to no personal fault. Either the card had not been printed, or that the card reader did not recognize the thumbprint, or because the card reader is faulty, or that the battery has died and they don't have electricity in that area to charge the card reader. We don't want any Nigerian to be disenfranchised. And we are pleading also that the election should not be shifted again. The PDP governors are saying we should not shift the election again, because the impression was being created as if we were not ready for election, even when we know that anytime the elections are held, we'll sweep the polls, because this is the only truly national party that does not belong to any Nigerian. It's the truth. We won election on 28th of March, but we don't want any Nigerian to be disenfranchised.
Our civil society group Youth Initiative for Advocacy, Growth and Advancement, YAGA, says the mock test of card readers held in 12 states last Saturday was a huge success. This, it said, sums up the report of 195 observers deployed to 12 registration areas where tests of the card readers were held. Spokesman for the group, Samson Itodo, however, noted that in spite of the success of the exercise, there are challenges that INEC needs to address before the general elections. He wants the electoral body to provide an alternative way of transmitting accreditation data from the polling unit to its central server in case the network service fails on the election day.
Observed. This was not the case in Egwagwada ward, for instance, in Niger State, where the card reader batteries were about 45 to 50% charged as at the time of commencement. Some polling units in Izu Unuhu ward in Ebonyi State also recorded cases of 45 to 50% battery power level. Extra batteries or backup batteries were not deployed to most polling units. Only 3% of polling units had extra batteries according to field reports. However, the battery of the card reader deployed to PU 008 in Angwan Habu, Nasarawa State, failed to perform optimally. An incident occurred in Bubugaje Primary School, PU 08, that's in Kano State, where the card reader failed to verify several PVCs as at 12 noon. But the polling official had to restart or rebooted the system, and the machine picked up and they proceeded or they continued with the verification exercise.
The PDP Governors Forum has restated its version in what it terms the politicization of corruption in the name of campaign through military apologies. The forum made its stance at the interactive section with the media and civil society groups where it wants Nigerians to ensure continuous development in the country by voting for the party in the forthcoming elections. A correspondent, Oluwaseyi Adegoke, was at the event and filing this report.
The forum, which was tagged Sustenance of Democratic Values and National Development, began with observing a minute silence for heroes who fought for emergence of democracy in Nigeria. The chairman of the forum, Governor of Akwa Ibom State, Godswill Akpabio, in his speech, urged Nigerians not to allow the opposition drive them back from the obvious and ongoing transformation in the country.
It is the only party which is not owned by any individual or by anybody. It is the only party that is not built around a cult personality. Therefore, in the PDP, we abhor corruption in all ramifications. PDP wants a corruption-free Nigeria. It is important to note that the PDP has done a lot in the fight against corruption since the coming of democracy, particularly under the current dispensation.
While his Niger and Jigawa state counterparts Babangida Aliyu and Sule Lamido in the same vein advised Nigerians to vote wisely in the coming election.
The party or the main people who adopted Buhari on that their primary day did that to extend their looting, their stealing of public property into the nation. They have done it in the states, and now they want to transfer it to the whole country. Because when they went for that primary, the candidate that they had in mind was different from what transpired.
What you see are people who are organic information political, who have history, who are blended, and you can see their faces, they relate very, very well.
On his part, The Ekiti State Governor Ayo Fayose reiterates that the APC presidential candidate is too senile to govern the country like Nigeria.
I have made bold severally, and I still stand by it. And I want Nigerians to take note of what I'm going to say here today. My mother is 74. General Buhari, official age 73. I want you to reconcile these two things without deceiving yourself. This is not personal. The man that is sick. No other name. The Lord must exercise patience for 4 years and don't want a reversal of yesteryears.
The PDP Governors Forum revealed that its opposition to the use of the electronic card readers is born out of fear that some Nigerians may be disenfranchised during the election due to perceived issues of the device. Oluwaseyi Adegoke, CoreTV News, Lagos.
Former Vice President and Chieftain of All Progressive Congress Atiku Abubakar has said he is fully committed to the APC and the success of its presidential candidate, General Muhammadu Buhari, and other candidates. He insists that his stand is unwavering and not up for bargaining. The former Vice President said this against the backdrop of his purported return to the fold of the ruling People's Democratic Party. He noted in a statement issued by his Atiku media office in Abuja on Tuesday that reports of a return to the PDP or any other party is the handiwork of chief makers bent on pitching him against other leaders of the opposition party. Atiku Abubakar maintains that it will take more than the antics of mischief makers to break that bond. He pointed that his return from Adamawa, where he convened a stakeholders meeting to reconcile disagreeing camps in the party, is a clear testimony of this commitment to APC. You're still watching the CoreTV News Hour. We'll take a break shortly. We'll be back with more stories after this time out. Do stay with us.
Every day, every hour, and every minute, news break in Nigeria. Things happen so fast, it's most times difficult to track and comprehend them. But that's what we do right here on Digit 360. 2015, would you want to come back again?
It's like asking Jesus Christ if he knew he was going to die, will you want to come back as the savior of the world?
We do not just help you track the stories, we break them down, explore all the angles, analyze the issues so that you can fully comprehend the stories and use them to make the right decisions.
You can also reach us on our social media platforms like our Facebook page is facebook.com/CoreTV News. You can as well follow at CoreTV News NG. For live streaming, log on to youtube.com/CoreTV. Leave a space, then news. As Nigerians get ready for the rescheduled general elections, Lagos State Governor Babatunde Fashola has appealed to President Goodluck Jonathan to distance himself from hate campaigns made in his favor. Fashola made the appeal while receiving the chairman of the National Human Rights Commission, Chidi Odinkalo, at his residence in Marina. Abiola Luwole has more on this story as presented from our studios.
As the rescheduled general elections get closer, political gladiators have continued to haul out inciting comments and hate speech against various opponents, an act that have continued to attract condemnation from analysts. The recent visit of the chairman of the National Human Rights Commission, Chidi Odinkalo, to Governor Fashola is to further canvass against hate campaign. Odinkalo says it is paramount that political actors advised the supporters against churning out inciting statements against their opponents so as to stem the tide against violence before, during, and after the general elections.
So that thinking together, we can actually learn what's happening here. And our desire is that sometime next week we'll meet with the principals, the president and General Buhari, who is the presidential candidate of the All Progressive Congress, and we want to take this message and see how we can ensure that, one, we have credible elections. These elections are necessary, Nigerians want them, and they have to happen. Secondly, that when they happen, after they've happened, the country can pull together, that leadership can ensure that the country pulls together to confront the problems that challenge us: economics, uniting our country, addressing our security challenges, which are existential, and regaining our place in the international community.
In his response, Governor Fashola called on President Jonathan to caution his supporters against the use of hate campaign against his opponents, saying such step by Jonathan will greatly douse the current political tension in the country.
And the president must speak up and reassure Nigerians that this country will be safe, whatever the outcome of the results. That's his primary duty. And it is not enough to say it, or to sign a peace accord, but to act it. And that is why all of the commentators are saying, well, he says the right thing, but his body language doesn't quite rhyme with what he says. But people are not foolish. If the president wants to campaign in any state 24 hours a day, he's allowed to. Nobody can stop him if he has the energy to do it. But there are some things that he must publicly dissociate himself from, like his wife's speech. He must disown them. And his leadership will be defined by whether he does it himself convincingly or whether he asks his aides to go and say it.
With less than a month to the general elections, common prayer on the lips of Nigerians, according to political watchers, is free, fair and credible polls.
The All Progressive Congress has expressed concerns about what he describes as a morbid joke cracked by the Jigawa State Governor Sule Lamido at the gathering of governors of the People's Democratic Party in Lagos. The governor had noted that all it takes to cripple the activities of the opposition party is to kidnap two of its national leaders. A spokesman for APC presidential campaign team Garba Shehu said in a news conference in Abuja that the party is not taking the matter lightly. This, he says, is because kidnapping is not an issue you crack jokes with.
I want to consider what Governor of Jigawa, Sule Lamido, said as maybe some kind of morbid joke. And I hope that it didn't come from his heart, it didn't come from any seriousness. Otherwise, at a time when kidnapping is a very serious plague nationwide, I think that it is terribly, terribly in bad taste that a governor would stand before television camera and announce that to break the APC, all they needed to do is to kidnap two APC leaders and that the party will be broken. I think that the party, given all of the things we're seeing, you know, Fanika, all of this press conference in Umuahia and the language in which it's like people are not conscious, they are not aware that Nigerians have sensitivities that need to be respected. Otherwise, people shouldn't just ride roughshod over the emotions of the people of this country. For us in APC, in the presidential campaign, kidnapping is a serious, for all of us, it's a serious threat to this country. And it is not a matter that people should be joking about.
The Ogun State chapter of the Joint National Public Service Negotiating Council has embarked on a 3-day warning strike, as stated last week. The industrial action is prompted due to the deduction of their 4-month salary, a development which the council has described as wickedness on the part of the state government. Olajumoke Olatuji has more on this report.
It seemed like a joke gone sour, but has become a reality, as the Ogun State chapter of the Joint National Public Service Negotiating Council has kicked off its 3-day warning strike to protest cuts in their salaries. The strike is scheduled to run from 10th March through 12th March 2015. Secretary of the Council, Moji Bello, says that the state government is owing the workers 58 months' salary, and the deduction is not in accordance with the constitution of the labor laws.
Cooperative deductions, which is now 5 good months, which government deducted and did not pay to the various cooperative societies, thereby denying the workers their right to withdraw their own money that they have saved. We advise government that instead of you continue to pay net, they have not been paying gross, now use the money for February salary to offset the 4 months outstanding cooperative deductions. And we know that Ogun State government is owing the workers only February salary.
In a quick reaction, the Ogun State Head of Service, Mudukbe Adekunle, says salary cut is as a result of dwindling allocation experienced by the state government. She, however, promises to look into the striking workers' demands as soon as possible.
We had discussed, we had pleaded with them to give government more time because they understand what is actually happening. It's as a result of the dwindling allocation. Government is not taking it lying low. We are busy looking for the funds to settle the outstanding. And I'm sure that before the end of this week, something would have been done. But I'm not saying that we will clear all the areas, but something will be done towards clearing part of the areas. I'm sure of that.
Meanwhile, the Ogun State chapter of the Nigerian Union of Teachers has asked its members not to participate in the ongoing strike, as it is not part of the constitution of the association.
This strike called by JNC, NUT is never a member of JNC. It doesn't concern both primary and secondary school teachers in the state. In fact, it doesn't concern teachers at all. If NSC had been carried along, we would have probably been involved. But JNC is not, NUT is not part of JNC. So it is illegal for any teacher to join any strike called by JNC.
The state government is optimistic that the warning strike will be the end to the drama and appeals to the workers to understand with the government.
Doctors in Lagos have threatened to embark on an indefinite strike on Monday. In a statement signed by the chairman of the medical guild, B. Ukufo, the industrial action was precipitated by non-payment of their May 2012 as well as August-September 2014 salaries by the state government. The doctors had embarked on a 3-day warning strike in February to protest the non-payment of their wages. Kufo says guild is bewildered that the administration ignored all their efforts to resolve the matter without a strike and only inviting them to talk when they threaten a strike. The salaries of the doctors were withheld under the no work, no pay policy of the state government after a joint parents body, the NMA, on a nationwide strike last July to protest issues of relativity and other federal appointments in the health sector. The guild accused the state government of operating a discriminatory policy as the salaries of other members of the joint health sector unions in the state who had embarked on strike between November and January were paid. It's your CoreTV News at 4. We'll take another break. We'll be back with more stories outside Nigeria. Stay with us.
From time immemorial, women have birthed life, shaped character, and by extension, influenced the society. Moremi of Ife, Emoten of Benin, Queen Aminat of Zaria, all women of influence and power.
Whether it's before election, after election.
How ironical, women being so powerful yet have few grounds in decision making.
They see you as a wife, and I see you as a wife to a man.
We are talking women in politics.
A woman will be bold enough to stand up and say, I want to become president of Nigeria.
Only on CoreTV News.
Outside Nigeria now, the U.S. ambassador to South Korea on Tuesday said he plans to maintain his open, approachable style despite being slashed by a knife-wielding Korean nationalist 5 days ago, causing him wounds that required 80 stitches in his face. Leopard had quickly become known for his informal demeanor since becoming ambassador in November, but last week's attack raised questions about his security arrangement. Police are seeking to bring charges including attempted murder against Kim Jong, 55, for the attack at a forum discussing Korean reunification. Leopard suffered a puncture wound on his wrist as well as the facial gash, but said he was
This incident has only strengthened our love and affection for this country and our belief in the unbreakable bond that exists between the United States and the Republic of Korea. I feel pretty darn good, all things considered. I mean, it was obviously a scary incident, but I'm walking, talking, holding my baby, you know, hugging my wife. So I just feel real in soul. I also want to say how deeply moved Robin and I have been by the outpouring of support from Koreans from all walks of life. It's been incredibly gratifying for me and my family to see such beautiful expressions of empathy and generosity from the Korean people. The signs, offers of food, flowers, cards, and the well-wishers on Twitter, Facebook, and our blog, these and other acts of kindness have touched us deeply.
And that's it on CoreTV News at 4. Thank you for being there. I am Frank Omalape. Bye for now.